Hi, I'm Rai, and this is Glenn, and today we're going to do a panel on cosplay photography. Let me introduce myself. I am Glenn. Glenn, slides. Okay, I'm Rai. My page is The Wolf's Cosplay. I've been cosplaying for 5 years, and I'm also, I'm not much of a photographer, but I organize a lot of photo shoots. I'm from Thailand, and I can do about 60 to 80 shoots per year there, but that's not actually feasible in New Zealand as much. Yeah, I used to live in New Zealand, but yeah, I'm here now for the holidays. Nice to meet you. Okay, so today the topics we're going to cover is how to organize photo shoots, and then we're going to go into specifics about how to do action shoots and romance shoots. We're not going to be covering hallway photos or event photos because that's something else. Okay, so you're doing next.
Yeah, we're not really going to be covering techniques or gear in any detail. We haven't got time for that. The only comment I'd make is if you're going to spend money, spend it on good batteries and good cards. You can replace a camera, you can't replace that photo of your baby if the card faults. Yeah. Yeah, that's another thing we haven't got time to cover. So we're going to introduce you to some key concepts and sort of ideas on how to organise shoots. We're not going to, as I said, cover every little detail. We expect that you have libraries, you have the internet, you have friends, you have photography clubs, etc. that you can call on. Yep. So where to start? Well, for me, it's with a concept. Now, a concept could be pretty simple. I bet if you put a bowl of ramen somewhere within 5 minutes, there'll be a Naruto there. So food's a theme. You could be literally recreating a scene out of Firefly or Naruto or whatever, doesn't matter. You could focus on a series, on a character, solo. You could have a group. You can have lead and backing characters. You can do a composite shot, special effects shots. It could just be you have a new location or a new technique you want to try out. Could really be anything. Storytelling is the one Rai's going to get into a little bit more in her romantic photo shoots. Nice. This is Anamia out of New York at the time. The shot on the right is in a garage. She has a seat to sit on and some handles for reference. Everything else has been shot in. This is just a sort of a low-key shoot that a friend of mine did. Just some friends out to cosplay, but every single thing in there ties in together.
Okay, so first thing you have to consider is whether you're doing a solo or a group photo. Ideally, and also the difficulties of your costume if you haven't already got it before the shoot. And also your schedule. The biggest thing is knowing your schedule when it comes to planning. And just bear in mind that group cosplays have a high chance of falling through. But if you keep at it, if you keep asking people, it'll work. If you don't give up on it. Okay.
Okay, so not every person in a shoot will have the skills to do everything. Some people will and can do a shoot with no other people, but for most of us, we need at least somebody on that side of the camera and somebody on this side of the camera. We may have a whole range of other people that we can ask. Just a couple of attitude things. Just because you ask people doesn't mean they're going to do it. People have their own lives and own decisions to make. And if you really, really, really want something to happen, you may be up for, well, nobody else wants to do this character, but I can talk somebody into being available for a couple of hours. I'll go to a seamstress, I'll pay for the costume. Or if nobody wants to shoot you and you've got this costume you really want photographed, you may have to pay the photographer. it's up to you to make it happen and whether it's worth paying that money. Vanya's a really great example. He's been doing AFK web series. Even though some of them are professionals, they're not being paid a cent to do it. It's all their free time they're putting in, scrimping money, borrowing props off friends, all that sort of stuff. There's a whole list that we can involve. Assistance for the photographers. Obviously, you need a subject, which is usually a human. People who make things, people who produce. So they're not actually involved hands-on in a shoot normally. They are the organiser, like Rai here. Through to Rai also does the directing a lot. Can be a very, very hands-on role, like the photographic director. Or it can be the artistic director, where you go, I have no idea about how to dress a set. Can you do it? Yeah, you don't also have to edit your own photos if you know somebody who will do them for you. You can have mentors, etc.
Yeah, this list right here, the list before, you actually only need 2 people. Some people will just double up on duties, and it's always good to like grab a friend because to help you carry stuff. Or sometimes you want a photo of someone of your skirt being blown. You have someone holding it and just kind of doing that for the photo. That works as well. And if you don't have any friends that will do this with you, it's always good to network. The CNZ, Cosplay New Zealand Facebook group is quite helpful. There's also regional cosplay pages where you can contact people for shoots. And you can just go up to cosplayers or photographers at con and ask if they're available or not. You know, they may be interested, they may say no, but you know, you should always try to reach out to people. Hi. Okay.
I was told that you were certified. It is your right to ask, but it is also their right to say no.
Exactly, but you can keep asking and ask different people. That's what I did when I first started out. Okay. Yeah, and when you're posting on social media to find people for your shoot, don't forget to have roughly your location and the month you're gonna cosplay in. Okay. First thing about organizing a shoot is scheduling. You need to know your own schedule, know when your assignments are being due, when your work shift is, when your exams are, and to coordinate your photo time to not clash with any of them, because that's going to be disastrous. So know the month you're going to cosplay first, and make sure everyone in the group agrees. A specific date needs to be set roughly a month in advance, if possible. Okay. And yeah, like I said, know your schedule, know everything you need to know, family gatherings and whatever. But okay, sometimes things come up, and that's okay, it happens. But usually it's best if you know what's happening with your life. And know what's happening in your friend's life and anyone who's part of the group. If anyone has like a freelance job or something with an unreliable timetable, you need to have several dates planned in advance, like a backup date for your cosplay photo shoot. Just if they can't make one, just switch to the second or third one. Yeah, it requires a lot of planning ahead of time. And always have everyone's contact information on hand before you start. Because, yeah, last minute things will happen. You need to contact them, need to keep in contact with everyone all the time. Okay. The next part is costumes. I'm going to touch really mostly when people plan for shoots in New Zealand, they already have the costumes. But if you don't, it's always best to know how long it takes for your stuff to arrive and plan your money and plan when you're going to order accordingly. And if you're making the costume, just have all of the material you need long before you start, because that's going to be what gets you if you like don't have enough material, even if you're making it last minute. Yeah, that's happened before. Another thing is always post your progress on Facebook. Just like, I got this, I'm done with this. A little peer pressure will help keep the group together. Remind people that, yes, you still have a shoot in August. Because a lot of times people will just sign up and then they'll forget about it. It happens way too often. Okay.
Finding shoot locations. the internet is your friend. Even before leaving home, you can see the road frontage of sites using Google Street View. If you have a description of what you want, type it into Google. There are some photography sites that exist purely for photographers to post up descriptions and photos of locations, but I don't know how well they actually cover New Zealand, but certainly your local council has a lot of information, tourist information, but don't forget just asking people is often the most productive.
Okay, so if you found your location on Google or whatever, discuss your locations with everyone in the group so everyone agrees on it. If you have time, it'd be best if you scout the location first, maybe with a camera so you can do test shots. Find the places with the good angles on the perfect one for your shoot. And also, if you're having shoots outdoor, just keep a backup location in case this rains, because you never know about the weather. So have a second spot that's indoor in case the weather kind of falls apart on you. And also some locations will require special permission. You need to get permission and get everything sorted out at least a week or so before the shoot. Okay. Now that you have location and a time, the next thing to do is to plan your photos. Plan what shots you're gonna have. Firstly, you start with reference photos. Basically, like maybe a shot from your fandom you're gonna shoot, or even like stuff from outside of your fandom. Like, if you see like a wedding photo you really like, you might wanna imitate that pose or that framing for your own photo. Yeah, that's great for shipper stuff. Yeah, and practice your poses if they're like difficult. If you have to like stand on your leg for like 5 minutes to get the shot or something, just try to practice it. It's really helpful.
Yeah, we used to in the old days have to make up mood boards if any of you went to art school or did art at school, and then you'd have to get people around to have a look at it. But now we save time using a thing called Pinterest. Whether you've used it or not, it's basically a mood board. You just basically create an account, create a board for your shoot, say that photo, that photo, that photo, doesn't matter if it's on your computer or anywhere on the internet. Suddenly you can now share that board with other people. Now this is a big one. We both felt this. How many shots do you really need? There are people who demand several hundred photos at the end of the shoot, unedited, and you're like, what? We don't really need all the blurry shots, do we? So a storyboard, you might have 4 to 8 shots typically. That's not a rule. If, on the other hand, you have staged an entire photo shoot to get one photo, that's a great photo that you want, that's good. You may spend an hour tweaking the poses to get one photo. That's perfectly fine. If you get one photo in 15 minutes, it's perfectly fine. Quality is better than quantity. At least most people think so. Who here likes somebody uploads a photo shoot and there's 600 unedited photos there? Who has the time to look through that? A shot list is a really good place to start. So you've got a list, you've got reference photos. Now you have a list of shots. When you leave the shoot, you haven't forgotten any of the key shots that you want to get.
Yeah, before that. Okay, so the day before the shoot, just remember to pack everything and double check everything. Everything's charged. Have food, have shelter, umbrellas, whatever. Just remember, like a lot of cosplayers will forget that you also need not just the costume and wigs, but the hairnet, the safety pins, and stuff like that as well. Just keep a checklist and don't forget anything.
People's welfare. Vanya yesterday was telling us about how one of their shoots had a dedicated sheep shit remover because it's a location shoot. But yeah, plan appropriately for the time of year. A furry probably not outdoors in the middle of summer. A bikini photo shoot, probably not in the middle of winter. So have warm clothing, have a blanket, have water. Make sure that you're not shooting somewhere unsafe, whether it's because it's an abandoned building that you really shouldn't be in. I've seen people photograph middle of railway tracks, but also just keep an eye on the people around you. Yeah, there's not very many places in New Zealand that are that dangerous to shoot. Permission for some sites. Probably only the action shoots or very specialist shoots need any protective gear, but that blanket often doubles as if you need any changes of costume as well. Some photographers have little wee tent things they can put up. But yeah, it is the organizer, and that's often the photographer, but it's the organizer's job to make sure everybody is safe and comfortable. Oh yeah, okay, so normal guidelines for photography, we're not going to go over them, but they apply here. There is slight modifications for cosplay posing. So when you're looking at how to learn, just look at general photography, general modelling, and then maybe look up like Riddle's messy wardrobe or something for some of the cosplay specific stuff. You have to practice, you have to organise shoots, you have to go and do this stuff. The only technical stuff we're going to say is light. You can add, you can remove, diffuse, reflect, bounce, restrict, or colour light. Right, if you'd like to hold up that white panel. Yeah. So by diffuse, we're creating a very soft mood. The light's going to come in. It's suddenly, however big your light source is, it's going to be as big as that. It's going to bounce all around and it's going to wrap around you. So that's the soft, romantic look. The other look is, if I were to put this right on right, we get very, very harsh, strong light coming, and we'll probably see one side of a face and not the other. So that creates a more dramatic mood. The other thing is that a camera sense is two-dimensional. Whatever you're viewing it on is normally two-dimensional. We're going to get 3 dimensions. So the way Rye's standing at the moment, she's flat. If she turns side on, you're going to get a silhouette. If she turns 45 degrees, not only does that flatten most people's bodies better, but you're starting to get some dimension in there. Add the makeup, add the lighting, you get the dimensions. So this is just an example of some dramatic use of light. Processing. Contrary to what anybody says, we do need to do this. So a simplified sort of common workflow for most photographers. First, go through all your photos, delete any or simply remove them from the catalogue. Anything which is blurry, is technically bad, you've got movement in it, whatever. Then go through and either flag your good photos or discard the ones which are just average. From there, you might decide, okay, out of this pose we had 3 good photos. I'm going to edit this one. Pick one, edit it. Start with global adjustments. It could do with being a little lighter, so I'm going to increase the exposure. I'm going to get rid of a little bit of noise, whatever. Then go into your local adjustments. I'm going to remove that light post coming out of Rye's head, which we should have done in camera, but we couldn't find a better place to put her. And then do your photoshopping after that if you want to. Adobe Lightroom and Zona Studio Zona is cheaper than Lightroom. They are both designed to basically go through hundreds and hundreds of photos, do basic editing and output to the internet or to print. So they save you a heck of a lot of time, although they do cost a little bit of money. So here's an example of an unedited versus an edited photo. That was logging trucks and crap in the background they wanted out. So the end result, just give a little bit of thought to what you're actually going to do at the end. Again, it's just a general advice. A lot of people put them up on Facebook, and then Facebook just keeps shoving new stuff at the top and old stuff goes down. Most people tend to appreciate having a physical print. And that can be in any sort of form. There's so many suggestions there on what you can do on the internet or what you can do in print. This legal stuff, we're just going to skip over. We don't have time, but basically talk about these things before the shoot. You get away from a shoot and think, am I meant to post them? Is she going to get offended if I post them first without showing her? Whatever. Just talk about the process of the shoot. Talk about what's going to happen after the shoot. Can I splash the photos everywhere as an example of my work? Can the cosplayer splash them everywhere as an example of their work? Are we going to credit each other as we should? And romantic photo shoots.